I was straight soft, just kick it out.
Yep, all the time.
Eating that ice up so people can drive. Down here, you had a couple.
No, you over there.
Good morning. I'm Tammy Long Hayward. This is the Clayton County State Court. This is courtroom 304, and this is our jail arraignment and probation case calendar for December 6th, 2022. I'm going to call the calendar, and when I do, I'm going to expect that if the person is represented by an attorney, the attorney will speak on their behalf. If they are unrepresented at this time, then we will determine once we establish a breakout room whether they need counsel. Ms. Bermudez, do you know of anyone who needs your assistance? Or does anyone know of anyone on our calendar who may need the assistance of the Spanish interpreter?
I don't have anyone on my list, Judge. I just wanted to check in with the court.
All right. Well, Ms. Bermudez, I looked over the calendar and I haven't not heard anyone requesting your services. I thank you for showing up, and I will see you later.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. First person on the calendar is Rashar P.R. Allen. And they were represented by the Office of the Circuit Defender. So my understanding is it should now be a case for Lister and Holt.
Your Honor, I can speak with them.
All right, and if you need an appointment order, just go ahead and send that over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Amber Barber.
I need to speak with Miss Barber.
Miss Barber?
No, we're just calling the calendar at this time. And so I'll let you know when it's time to bring them up for the breakout room, okay? Thank you. All right, John Zachary Bell.
Your Honor, that's going to be a guilty plea.
Okay, to both or one?
To both.
Youngblood, Emma K. Bennett Youngblood.
Yes, Your Honor. That has a mental health evaluation pending.
Okay. Does anyone know about how long they are running from the time we request a mental health evaluation until we get one back?
I personally don't, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, it's taking about couple to 3 months, 2 to 3 months.
Oh boy. Okay. Is she being medicated while in the jail?
I can check on that. Just had her file open.
Okay, so let's check on that, and then that'll help me determine how we're going to continue the case. Because if she has the possibility of being restored through medication, then we may be able to move this case forward, or in some way help her move forward. Theryl Boyd Jr.
Yes, Your Honor, that's going to be guilty to count 1, and counts 2 through 4 should merge.
Corey D. Burns.
Your Honor, I will need to speak with Mr. Burns.
Miss John VA, pedestrian on the roadway. Is that, will we need more than a credit for time served on that, or is there something I don't know?
No, Your Honor, the credit for time served will be sufficient.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Kevin Maurice Campbell. This is a petition. Okay, originally, Mr. Campbell was represented by Michael Barber. Is Mr. Barber present, or someone from his office? No, and this is a 2019 case, so I'm sure that they are now off that case. I'm gonna ask Ms. Hahn or Mr. Kamani to speak with Mr. Campbell to see if he needs representation. Deshaun Davis,
Your Honor, I believe that's going to be a no cost.
all right. And is he being held on other charges, not of this court?
I can check.
All right,
I'll let
so
you know.
Ms. Deputy, you can send Davis back, Deshaun Davis. That case is going to be no pros, and he doesn't have anything else pending before the state court. Dana Maurice Dodson has 2 cases, criminal trespass and public indecency.
Yes, Your Honor. The criminal trespass, that is going to be guilty, and the public indecency, that's going to be a guilty as well.
All right. Jeremiah Leandre Jones.
Yeah, that is a motion to set bond.
Okay. Michael Allen Owens.
Your Honor, I need a brief breakout room with Mr. Owens.
Queen Marie Phillips.
Your Honor, I need to speak to him.
Joel Richard Redfern.
Your Honor, guilty plea.
Keith O'Brien Stocks.
Your Honor, we filed for a competency evaluation and we are awaiting a report on that case as well.
I'm sorry, we're what?
We
We're
filed
waiting
for a,
on the-
yeah.
Okay.
competency.
Ramel Antonio Wheeler.
Your Honor, I've spoken to him. It seems like he has some competency evaluation. I just want to speak to him again. before I
Okay.
make that announcement.
And Kennedy Ladale White.
Your Honor, guilty.
All right. All right. So Deputy, we're going to start taking the pleas and then we'll do the breakout room for any remaining issues that we have. First up is Don Zachary Bell.
You ready for him, Your Honor?
Yes. Thank
All right.
you.
You said Bell.
Bell. Yes, sir. Mr. Bell, raise your right
Yes,
hand
ma'am.
for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Bell, you're before the court on Tuesday. You can put your hand down, sir. 2022 CR 06390 for Don Zachary Slaughter Bell for theft by shoplifting and obstruction of an officer. It is my understanding that you're entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2. You're represented by attorney Hahn from the law firm of Lister Holton Dennis. By entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Bell?
Ma'am, I do.
All right, Ms. Hahn, any concerns regarding competency to move forward with this plea?
No, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Janvier, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 8th of 2022, while an officer was on patrol at 7050 Highway 85 in Riverdale, Georgia, of Clayton County, where the incident occurred. At that time, the defendant had walked out of the store and crossed all points of sales with the shopping cart containing merchandise that was not paid for as he passed all points of sale at that time, Your Honor. The officer tried to attempted to make contact with the defendant at that time in the store parking lot. And in an attempt to flee, the defendant opened the rear door of a passing vehicle and attempted to get into it. At that time, he was apprehended and taken into custody. The state is recommending for the theft by shoplifting 12 months to serve 5 days credit for the time served. The balance would be probated, a $300 fine, Your Honor. Shoplifting, actually, yes, a shoplifting court, Your Honor, and a $300 fine for the obstruction.
All right. Anything on behalf of Mr. Bell, Ms. Hahn?
No, Your Honor, we just ask that you accept the time served.
All right, Mr. Bell, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 5 days, credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to attend a theft prevention course and pay a fine in the amount of $300, which is going to be $444 with the surcharges. And on count 2, which will run concurrent with count 1, that will also be a fine in the amount of $300, which will be $444. I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Menard. Ms. Menard is going to explain everything you need to know about probation, and she's going to get you signed up. Quickest way to get rearrested is to not appear for your probation reports, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any way I can get my mood stabilizer medicine when I get released? Because a lot of this happened because of that.
I'm aware, sir. And do you have on record with the jail, we've had in the past, you've had your prescription? Do you have a family member who can bring your prescription to the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just if you can have them bring it to the jail, they can administer the medicine.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Ms. Menard, and when you're done, then you can go back with the sheriffs, all right?
Thank you. So I will be getting released today?
Yes, sir. I don't have anything else holding you, Ms. Hahn. Do you know of anything?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so just get back on your medication as quickly as you can, okay? So if you're going to be released today, just if you don't have a current prescription, the next move should be to go to your doctor and make sure that your meds are up to date, okay?
I have a current prescription at the
Okay,
at the
so
CVS.
then, all right, just go ahead and get that filled and then start taking those so that we don't have this happen, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, how are your kids, Mr. Bell?
They're good. I can't wait to go see them.
Okay, take care. All right, so Mr. Bell and Ms. Menard are going to be in breakout room number 6. All right, as soon as they're back, we will move forward. Miss John V. and Ms. Hahn, may I have you in a breakout room? I'm going to put you both in breakout room number 1, please. All right. Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
Can you add me to the breakout room as well?
It's not about the calendar. It's a calendar, a procedural thing.
Oh,
right, thank you, ladies. Y'all cleared it up for me. We're just waiting for Ms. Menard to be done. You, Ms. Menard, I'm waiting for the jail to come back. I don't see him. That must be. There you are. All right, may I have Daryl Boyd?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Mr. Boyd, you're before the court on 2020-CR09042, Daryl Boyd Jr. You're represented by Ms. Hahn from Lister Holton Dennis. And then you're charged with battery, family violence, count 1, battery, count 2, simple battery, count 3, and simple battery, family violence, count 3, and simple battery, count 4. Ms. Hahn has indicated you're entering a plea of guilty to count 1, and counts 2 through 4 will merge. Raise your right hand for me, sir.
I'm sorry.
You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. By entering a plea of guilty to count 1, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On July 30th of 2020, an officer responded to 5640 Cypress Drive, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, Your Honor. At that time, the officer made contact with the victim. Her name is Michelle Boyd, where she advised that her husband had been hitting on her all day. And the officer did observe cuts to her chin. At that time, the warrant was issued for Mr. Boyd. The state, Your Honor, is recommending 12 months to serve 45 days, the balance to be probated, a drug and alcohol evaluation, no drugs or alcohol, Your Honor, with random screening and testing, and no violent or harassing contact with the victim. Count 2, 3, and 4 would merge.
All right. Ms. Hahn, anything on behalf of Mr. Boyd?
All right. No, Your Honor, just that he gets credit for time served.
Right. How long has he been in?
The first time, Your Honor, was 12 days, and then since he's been picked up again, it's been 8 days, so a total of 20.
Okay. So is he gonna do the 45 days?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure I didn't miss a credit for time served or something. All right, so Mr. Boyd, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to count 1, counts 2, 3, and 4 will merge. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 45 days, balance probated, so that you can take a substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that may be ordered. You're to have no alcohol or illicit drugs, and you're to subject to random screens for alcohol or drugs, and you're to have no violent or harassing contact with Michelle Boyd. Now, Mr. Boyd, if the basis of your problem is that you have an alcohol or a substance abuse problem, then please take hold of any services that were maybe offered. And also, once you're past this point, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous are always good places to get ongoing treatment. You don't give up a substance abuse. You don't beat it. Oh, I beat that. No, it's just ongoing. It's just like if you have diabetes or high blood pressure. I don't know that we have a cure for those, but you can maintain your health while being diagnosed with those illnesses. So I'm going to ask that you be mindful of that. How long have you and Ms. Boyd been married?
Oh, 8 years, ma'am.
All right. So don't throw 8 years down the drain if this is a relationship that you believe is viable. But then think about the fact that Ms. Boyd does not need to be in a relationship and does not deserve to be in a relationship where she's going to have to suffer. That's not what marriage and love are supposed to be about. And so don't let your substance abuse issues cause her to have issues.
Yes, ma'am.
She does not deserve that. Okay. And based on the fact that it's a request for a nonviolent or harassing contact, that means she still wants to be with you, which means she's taken this abuse and still has not thrown you to the curb. So don't continue to let her suffer as a result of what you're going through.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to accept your plea. I'll send you to 12 months, 45 days. And the most important part is that you show up for your probation reports. Failure to show up for probation reports is the quickest way to get rearrested, okay? All right, and please remember that this sentence means no alcohol or illicit drugs. And I know we're coming up on Christmas and you're gonna have those dudes who gonna come by the house. Man, here, I got a pint. Why don't you just lift this pint? But that's gonna lead you right back here to me. You understand? Don't let the hangers out and the hangers on come in there and mess up your relationship. Because they're gonna go home to their wives.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, sir, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Miss Menard. When you're finished speaking with Miss Menard, you can go back with the sheriff's office. So the jail and Miss Menard are in breakout room number 6.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, before we take Mr. Dodson's plea, I would like to just speak with him one more time with Mr. Kamani. I just
Okay.
have a little bit of a concern about competency, so.
All right, let's let Miss Menard and the jail go into breakout room. And then when they come back, then we'll go ahead and do that. Because I think Deshaun Davis is a no pro, so he should have gone down already. And then we'll talk to Mr. Dodson.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, the jail and the Miss Menard are in breakout room number 6. Miss Menard, are you having trouble getting back in?
I don't see the,
Because I generally leave you in the same breakout room, but usually you're able, I don't know how you figure it out because I don't have like the breakout room access like that. But usually you're able to go right back in. But okay, I'm gonna move you and I'm gonna put you right back. So don't do anything
Okay.
until I say, okay?
okay, thank you.
All right, don't do anything yet. When you see breakout room number 6, then you go.
Got it, thank you.
All right, no problem.
All of this stuff. So I'll put the officers on your housing.
Okay,
You court side, you don't know none of your business.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Stand to the far right so they can see you.
Yes, sir.
no more. Sir, go over some more on the right side so they can see you. Thank you. Nope, go straight to your housing unit.
Go to your housing unit. They're gonna come up there and do it.
All right, thank you. So Ms. Hahn, I made an executive decision. So what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and take Mr. Redfern's plea and then Mr. White's plea. And then once we do that, I'll just go ahead and set up the breakout room and y'all can talk to whomever.
Thank you.
All right. So if I can have Redfern when you're ready.
Redfern. What's your name?
Mr. Redfern,
Yes, ma'am.
raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. So, sir, you're before the court on 2022 CR 06408 Joel Richard Redfern for criminal trespass. My understanding is from your attorney that you're entering a plea of guilty. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Is there,
Go ahead.
can I ask is there any way I can plead not guilty? Because I didn't receive, I just got out of prison. I didn't get no notice or nothing not to go back on the property. I didn't get no notice.
Mr. Kamani?
Yes, Your Honor. Can I have a breakout room?
Okay, well, Mr. Redfern, I'm about to put you in a breakout room so you can talk to your attorney. And if you wish to enter a not guilty plea, that's fine with me. It's not going to change what I do. And at that point, you and Mr. Kamani can talk about that and anything else that might be pending, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you could go back at the direction of the sheriff so I can do one more plea and then I'm going to do the breakout room, all right? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Kennedy Liddell White.
White.
Mr. White, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. White, I'm ashamed to say this, but you're in jail for jaywalking on case 2021 TK 04155. It's my understanding you're entering a plea of guilty. By entering that plea of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And sir, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On February the 19th of 2021, Mr. White was observed on Terra Boulevard and Camelot Parkway, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, crossing the roadway at a space other than the crosswalk. And that time was cited for doing such. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for the time served, balance to be suspended, no new violation of the law, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. White, I'm going to accept your plea. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served. The balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the state laws of the state of Georgia. Okay?
Can I speak on that too, Your Honor?
Well, sir, you're going to get out today.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to set up the breakout room for the attorneys and for the jail. And then once they're finished speaking with the individuals, then we'll be able to go forward with pleas. Just be mindful, Mr. Kamani has on, I'm trying a case today suit. So we do have trial this afternoon. So just make sure we are considerate of that time, okay? All right, so I'm going to put the jail in breakout room number 2. I'm going to put Ms. Hahn and Mr. Kamani in breakout room number 2. And when you all are back and have announcements, then let me know. All righty. Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Today. Don't go in by yourself.
Mr. Kamani, Ms. Han, you have announcements?
Yes, Your Honor.
We spoke with, for Mr. Allen, that's gonna be a guilty plea.
Two.
I'm sorry, two, that's gonna be for 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, all
Um,
right.
For Barber, that's gonna be Nolo.
Okay,
So I'm going down the line. For Miss Bennett, you had asked about her earlier. I spoke to Miss McGee, and right now she has not been medicated. However, upon speaking to Miss McGee, she is setting up, or she's scheduling an appointment for Miss Bennett, Youngblood, to be seen by a provider.
okay, so that'll be continued for 2 weeks. All right, Deputy Bennett Youngblood can go back.
Youngblood.
Yes,
Youngblood.
all right, next.
Youngblood.
I think we're on Burns.
Yes, that is going to be a guilty.
All right. Campbell,
Your Honor, that's going to be a stipulate and agree to the technical.
all right. And Dodson, were you able to speak with Mr. Dodson? Or Miss Dodson? No, yeah, Mr. Dodson, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Those are going to be guilty for both.
All right. Jones, Jeremiah Jones.
Your Honor, that is a motion to set bond. So
Okay. Mike Owens.
Owens is a guilty to count 1 and 2.
Phillips.
That's a competency evaluation. I'll submit a copy, a draft of the order.
You said competency evaluation. So
Yes,
let's set that up, continue that for 2 weeks.
right, yeah.
Okay. And Redfern.
Redfern, we are asking for a continuance. For 1 week.
Okay. 1 week or 2?
2 weeks is fine.
All right. And okay. Stocks, let's go ahead and give that a 2 week continuance.
Wheeler is guilty to count 1.
And I'm sorry.
Wheeler,
Uh-huh.
guilty to count 1. Count 2
Uh-huh.
will move. Guilty to count 3 and guilty to count 4.
So guilty to 1, 3, and 4.
That's right, yeah.
All right. All right. Let's roll. All right, Alan, please. Mr. Allen, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Rashir PR Allen, 2021 CR 04873. 1 count of criminal trespass, 1 count of carrying a concealed weapon, and 1 count of simple assault. You're entering a plea of guilty to all 3 counts. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir? And you're represented by Ms. Hahn from the law firm of Lister, Holton, Dennis. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. And also, I believe that Miss Sheena Rogers, victim in this case, is on the call as well.
All right. Ms. Rogers, is that you on the iPhone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So Ms. Rogers, may I see you? All right. Okay, factual basis, and just hold on, Ms. Rogers, and I'll hear from you in a moment.
All right, yes, Your Honor. On October 4th, 2020, an officer was responding to 1602 Bagpipe Place, where the incident took place in Clayton County, Georgia. Upon being in contact with the victim, the officer was advised that the defendant stood over the victim and stated that he would hit her and started screaming at her. He then took the laptop and threw it across to the ground. It was damaged, Your Honor. At that time, the juvenile heard them arguing or yelling and went to the room and witnessed Mr. Allen throwing the laptop onto the ground. Additionally, once the officer made contact with Mr. Allen, he was then found to have a weapon on him, but did not have a concealed weapon license, Your Honor. So the state is recommending 12 months to serve 30 days with the balance suspended. No new violation of the law. For count 2, the 12 months to serve 30 days, balance probated. That would be concurrent, with the gun safety course, Your Honor. And for count 3, 12 months to serve 30 days, balance probated, family violence intervention program, a $100 fine, Your Honor, and no contact with the victim.
And he's gonna forfeit the gun, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hahn? How are Mr. Rogers and Mr. Allen and Ms. Rogers related?
What?
All right, Ms. Rogers,
Yes, ma'am.
raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, so you can put your hand down. How are you connected to Mr. Allen?
I've been in a relationship with him for 13 years. We've been living together for 13 years, so common law wife. We have 3 children. And coming into the relationship, I had 2 daughters.
Okay. All right. So, ma'am, was there anything else that you needed to share with me?
Basically, I was invited, to come. I have spoken with the assistant DA, and my thing is I'm speaking on behalf of the children because it's all about the children.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I'm just making sure that that they get, and the bottom line is their dad, he needs to get the assistance and help that he needs in order to have a healthy relationship moving forward.
Okay, so just based on what you have perceived over the 13 years that you've been in a relationship with Mr. Allen, is it a substance abuse problem, alcohol or drugs, or is it a mental health problem where there needs to be some other type of intervention?
And for me personally, I think it's all of the above because I know Ray Shaw has experienced some traumatic experiences when he was a child, and that he didn't get help for that, and it fueled over to his adulthood with the alcohol and the drugs, and those two mixed together, that's like a recipe for disaster. So my thing was me being a school teacher for 23 years, been in education for 30 years. I really was trying to get or find some other type of resource that would help Ray Shaw to get better because I knew he needed some type of help. So I feel
Is there a plan, Ms. Hahn and Ms. John, for substance evaluation and any treatment?
Your Honor, not at this time.
Okay. All right, Mr. Allen.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you have kids in your household. And so let me tell you what has been really driving me crazy over the course of the last couple of years. Every time I open up my phone and I see these news alerts, or every time I look on television, there are all of these things about, guns in the home where a mother and a father or the children, one or all of them are injured or killed by a gun being in the home. That's the last thing that I need to have happen in this situation. Now, a lot of times people will have trauma happen to them, even as a child or as an adult, and we just keep moving forward. We're just going to keep going because, especially in the Black community, and I can speak specifically to this, we don't value therapy because we think, oh, well, it's one of two things. We're too strong for that. Black people don't get therapy, or we got Jesus. Well, I mean, Jesus, God made therapists. So I just say that there is no shame in seeking help for whatever is bothering you, for whatever trauma that you went through, because it wasn't your fault. You didn't cause the trauma. You suffered from it. And so there's no shame in seeking treatment, just as you would if you had a medical condition, if you had a high blood pressure or diabetes. If it goes untreated, there's going to be some bad consequences, correct? So suffering from trauma also leads to bad consequences, because I cannot believe that all of these situations where I'm hearing about gun violence in the home that results in the death of one or more people, that's a trauma response from the person who never got help for what they went through, because that's not something that somebody who's not suffering would do. And that's what I don't want in this situation. And so I want you to take into account the treatment, the information that's going to be shared with you in the Family Violence Intervention Program, but also understand that you may need a little bit more than that. Are you currently working?
Yes, I am. I actually had a job offer I was supposed to go to. It's still available to me. I drive
What
trucks.
type of work do you do, Mr. Allen?
I drive trucks. I've been driving for 6 years over the road, but the recent job is a local job, and I have an opportunity for my for the local job also. So that's what I was looking forward to.
All right, so Mr. Allen, if this job is still available to you and you have benefits, please take advantage of the counseling services that come with a lot of the benefit packages that jobs have nowadays. And if that is not available to you, there's always Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, because those are individuals who have also gone through some kind of trauma and they're fighting their way back, and they know how to talk to you about it. There's no judgment. When you say what happens to you and they share what happens to them, then you see the commonality and you don't see judgment in that. You understand? Because I can't judge the journey that you walk. I just know that the trauma response is resulting in something that is a danger to Ms. Rogers and your children. And the last thing you want is something to happen to those babies. Okay? All right. So I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1, 2, and 3. On count 1, I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days. The balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. On count 2, it's run concurrent, meaning at the same time. 12 months to serve 30 days. Balance will be probated for you to take a gun safety course, and you're to forfeit the gun and not possess a gun for the entirety of the 12-month period. Do you understand? So for the whole time you're on probation, you're not to have a firearm. That is a specific violation. And if you have a firearm during that period of time, you'll be subject to having your probation revoked. Do you understand? All right. And also on count 3, which will also run concurrent to count 1, 12 months to serve 30 days. Balance will be probated for you to take a family violence intervention program course. That's going to be a 24-week course, and you're going to have to be diligent about it, because if you miss a certain number of sessions, they'll make you start over. And then you're going to pay a fine in the amount of $100. It's going to be $151.50, and you're to have no contact with Ms. Rogers. Now, I don't know what kind of legitimacy, custody, visitation, all of that you all have established, because y'all aren't married, and generally those things would be kind of established through marriage. But Mr. Allen, if you intend in any way to see or have contact with your children, you have to go through the Superior Court and establish legitimacy, and then get a visitation and custody order. That order will be modified to respect the information that I'm putting into your file right now, but that's the only way that you can see Ms. Rogers and the children. What I will allow, though, is you can mail child support payments to Ms. Rogers, or you can pay through child support enforcement, because you do still have to support your children. And please understand that your children shouldn't suffer more than they are already going to suffer with having you out of the home. So don't leave them suffering the trauma of not having you and the trauma of not having money to support them, through the financial support that they'll need. Okay. All right.
Understood.
Because we're working to reunite a family at the end of this process, to where you understand that the therapy may be an ongoing thing, but you still want to have an opportunity to get back into your children's lives. Okay. But you want to be well when you do that. We clear? All right. Ms. Rogers, did you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
All right. All right. So, sir, I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Menard. She's going to speak with you about your probation, and she's going to get you signed up. And then if you have any issues, please make sure you talk to your probation officer about those issues. And then they'll help you to successfully to navigate probation. But understand, the quickest way to get rearrested is to not go to your probation reports. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Ms. Menard and the jail will be in breakout room number 5.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. And Ms. Rogers, you do what's necessary to keep yourself and your children safe. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, sir. Mr. Allen, you're free to go back with the sheriff's office, okay?
And thank you, and God bless you.
Sure. God bless you too. Amber Barber,
Yes, ma'am, get her now.
thank you.
I'm gonna try to take them back all together, man. Back and forth ain't gonna work. Make a hole, this is all that. Okay, so, what time it start? 1 o'clock.
Ms. Barber, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down.
Okay.
Ms. Barber, you're represented by the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn is with you on this call. You're before the court for 2022 CR 06389 criminal trespass, and you're entering a plea, disorderly conduct, and you're entering a plea of nolo. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Sam?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 11th of 2022, an officer was dispatched to a fight in the food court at the Hartsfield International Airport, 6000 North Terminal Parkway. This incident did occur in Clayton County. At that time, the officer made contact with the defendant, where she advised that another person approached her and she flipped the table over, knocking over that person's food on the floor and closing up both her fists in a fighting stance towards the other person. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 10 days. Credit for time served, the balance will be suspended with no new violations of the law.
What was she doing at the airport?
I was homeless, to be honest. I found out, well, I knew that it wasn't right for me to be there, but I was asking for money and asking for food and asking for money just to get by, because I'm on disability, Social Security, but I was in between my checks and trying to keep up with the cards and stuff. That ain't no excuse still, but I didn't have anything and I was trying to get something for myself.
I got you. So, Ms. Hahn, does your client have a place to go back to now?
I did not ask Miss Barber whether or not she has a place to go back to.
Okay, generally, if there's a situation at the airport, it generally is a result of either a substance abuse issue or a combination of things like a housing challenge and a substance abuse issue or mental health issue, but housing challenge is the main one. So, Ms. Barber, do you have some place to go back to once you're out of jail?
I'm working on finding my own housing and shared housing living situation through the Gateway Center on Pryor Street, the COC housing. So every Wednesday is follow-up day to go in there and check on your housing and find out if if a sponsor has picked your name up and is working or trying to contact you or not. Since I've been in jail, and right before I got into jail, I started back going through, or I started back in the routine of being in the routine
of checking
and checking on my house.
So,
for a
Miss
year?
Barber, here's the thing. Today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday, so you can go back tomorrow. Before you leave the jail, you may want to ask to speak to one of the chaplains who may have some information regarding programs that can help you maintain yourself while you're waiting to get permanent housing, okay?
Okay.
All right, but you'll be let out in time to get to the Gateway Center in order to check that out, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to send you to 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served, balance suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia, and as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport unless you have a ticket for travel on that day or you have a job at that location, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
All right. Next is Corey Burns.
Burns, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burns, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. All right, so Mr. Burns, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on state of Georgia versus Corey D. Burns, 2022 TK 10922 for pedestrian in the roadway. You're entering a plea of guilty according to your attorney, Ms. Hahn, and by doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Correct.
I'm sorry, you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's a delay. All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On July, excuse me. Excuse me. On July 21st, 2022, Mr. Burns was observed on Old Dixie Road and Holiday Boulevard, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. He was observed in the roadway. This was a third encounter with the defendant, Mr. Burns. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served, the balance to be suspended, and no new violations of the law, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Burns, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served, balance suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. Ms. Hahn, do you have anything else on behalf of Mr. Burns?
No, Your Honor.
All right, any concerns about his ability to enter this plea?
No.
All right. Mr. Burns, you're going to get out, sir. Mr. Burns, you're going to have to be careful about crossing the street and staying out of the street. You got to cross at the crosswalk and stay out of the middle of the road, okay?
Correct. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Burns. Take care, sir. All right, Mr. Campbell, Kevin Maurice Campbell.
Hey, don't do that.
Mr. Campbell, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Campbell, you were before this court on case 2019-CR-04732 for revocation of probation, state of Georgia versus Kevin Maurice Campbell. You were before the court for driving under the influence, improper turn signal on October 24th of 2022. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 10 months and 26 days remaining, and you failed to avoid injurious and vicious habits. The probation office has alleged that you tested positive for cocaine on or about November 1st of 2022 while at probation services. All right. Ms. Hahn, is this your case also?
No, this is my case.
Oh, Mr. Kamani. Mr. Kamani, there's something, your audio is a little bit low. So if you could speak up for me. So Mr. Kamani, it is my understanding that you all are intending to stipulate and agree to the facts of the probation revocation.
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Menard, are you handling this or is Mr. Austin here?
I am, Judge.
Okay, all right. So Ms. Menard, what is the recommendation for probation?
The recommendation would be to give Mr. Campbell credit for time served, return to probation, and he will be drug screened at each report.
Okay, I'm gonna add one NA or AA meeting per week.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Campbell. So
Yes.
the fact that you were before this court for DUI and now you're testing positive for cocaine, that tells me all I need to know about your situation. Sir, you have a situation of dependency on substances. Can we agree on that?
I wouldn't say that.
Oh my goodness. And we have one. So that's the first thing right there, sir. Let me just tell you something. Anytime alcohol or drugs ends you up in front of me, and now you've got two in front of me, and I probably could go back and see if you got any previous ones because I've been on this bench for 6 years. So you may have come before me before, and I just didn't catch it because usually I know people's names or faces. I remember a lot of folk. But when you say, I wouldn't say that, Judge, but you in an orange jumpsuit, you have a DUI pending probation, and you have tested positive for cocaine. So sir, let's get real. See, because this is why you're going to keep ending up in trouble, because you're failing to acknowledge that you have a problem. Now, what I want you to understand is I'm not making fun of you. I'm not looking down on you, because substance abuse is a medical condition just like a bunch of other ones. You got diabetes, if you got a high blood pressure, any of those things, you're going to have to treat them in order to live a full life and to live correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be in and out of the hospital, you're going to be down, you can't work, any of those things. Well, you're doing the same thing. You just have substance abuse issues. But for you to deny them because you think somehow that makes you look bad, sir, we just need to get real. If you're going to say to me, well, I wouldn't go that far. You want as far as to get cocaine. So you don't have to agree with me, but what I ask you is to not lie to yourself, because if you convince yourself, I ain't really bad, I just take a sip right here and I take a little sniff right here. If you convince yourself of that, you're going to end up either hurting yourself or hurting somebody else or spending some real time, because there's going to be a time where it's going to elevate from 12 months to serve to a year and a day or above to serve. And you're going to go up to the 4th floor. You got to be real with yourself, sir. We clear? Because this is not going to work otherwise. If you, the next time you come before me, you're going to be like, well, see what happened was no. If you're not real with yourself, then I might as well revoke your probation right now, because I already know you're going to go out there and convince yourself that next hit of cocaine you take, I don't really got a problem. I just, I'm going to just hit this for a minute. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's start this again. So now, Mr. Campbell, from what I'm looking at, sir, you have a DUI probation and you've tested positive for cocaine. So, sir, it appears that you have a substance abuse problem. And you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, you can say yes, ma'am, and not believe it. But, sir, if you being in jail twice for substances in the last year doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. And I mean, alcohol is at least legal until you use it improperly, but you out here scoring cocaine. I thought cocaine was like, I mean, like next they gonna say you got crack. I thought that was something that had gone by the wayside pretty much, had been replaced with Molly, meth, all these other things. But you done gone old school and you going to cocaine. So, Mr. Campbell, your attorney says on your behalf that you're going to stipulate and agree. And the probation office is asking that you receive credit for time served, that you return to probation, that you test at each report, and that you have, and I'm adding that you have one NA or AA meeting per week that you will show proof of having attended. So at each probation report, you should have a bunch of slips of paper that show you went to an NA or an AA meeting. Now, if you're not familiar with 12-step programs, NA and AA meetings are everywhere. They got them all times of the day or night. They are in all kinds of facilities. You can't throw a cat without hitting an NA meeting or an AA meeting. We're clear? Yeah. So you need to go once a week. All right? Okay. Because if you come back before me, I'm going to think you just really not getting it. And I'm going to just have to take you off the street for fear that you will harm somebody else. We clear? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, don't do that trying to fool yourself. Oh, yeah, I really wouldn't say. Because, I mean, I don't look any differently on you if you tell me you have a substance abuse issue, or if I just look at the fact that you already got a DUI and you tested positive for cocaine. I'm already going to assume what I know to be true. Okay? So you're not impressing me by telling me, nah, Judge, I really don't, no, I'm cool. All right, so I'm going to accept your stipulation, and I'm going to order that you will receive credit for time served, that you will return to probation, that you will test at each probation report, and that you will attend one NA or AA meeting per week and show proof of that at each probation report. Failure to do so means that you will have another meeting with me under these conditions. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you got any questions for me?
No, not at this moment.
All right, how old are you, Mr. Campbell?
43.
Okay, you're too young to let this take over your life. This is the point where you got to get serious about what you want the rest of your life to look like, okay? Because at 43, that's the prime, really. And so you got to decide whether you want alcohol and substances to take over your life or whether you're going to boss up and take control. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you can go back with the sheriff's office. I'm going to send this over. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking to you and you don't even see me fussing. Somebody just told me my camera was off. Now you see. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So all that fussing I did, just add that with my face. But you can go back with the sheriff's office. You're going to go back and see Miss Menard or whoever your probation officer is. And we're going to get that taken care of. But you're going to make sure you go to that report. Every time you go to that report, you bring in your NA or AA slips. You hear me? All right. Don't mess up, Mr. Campbell. Let's not have this conversation again. Okay. You can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to let Mr. Campbell know to report and see me tomorrow at 1 p.m.
All right. Mr. Campbell, you'll report for probation tomorrow, Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Okay, 3rd floor.
Yes, sir. All right, so I'm just going to type this up while we're doing that. Let's get Mr. Dodson, Dana Maurice Dodson up.
One pound, 83 in courtroom 302.
Wherever you was. That's why you back.
All right, Mr. Dodson, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Dodson, you're before the court on 2022 CR 06399. Dana Maurice Dodson for criminal trespass. Your attorney has indicated you're entering a plea of guilty on Mr. Dodson on case 2022 CR 06420 for public indecency. Your attorney, Ms. Hahn, has indicated you're entering a plea of guilty. By entering pleas of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony or evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Dodson, if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. For the case ending in 6399, on November 10th, 2022, an officer was dispatched to 2192 Mount Zion Parkway, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. You're right, at that time, the officer was advised of a male that was sleeping in the hallway. Once the officer made contact with Mr. Dodson, he identified Dodson as the person who had been previously issued a criminal trespass warning on October the 19th. And so at that time, Mr. Dodson was taken into custody. The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days. The balance would be suspended and a do not return to 2192 Mount Zion Parkway. Not sure where that is. For the case ending in 6420, on March 31st, 2022, an officer was conducting a security check at 8140 Terra Boulevard, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, where at that time he observed Mr. Dodson urinating on the front wall of the business in plain sight of the public. The officer made contact with Mr. Dodson and then placed him in custody. Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 30 days. The balance to be suspended and a do not return to 8140 Terra Boulevard. And that would be concurrent with the first 12 months to serve 30 days, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Hahn, have you confirmed that you have no concerns that Mr. Dodson is in any way unable to understand the proceedings and assist in his defense today?
Yes, Your Honor, I have confirmed that.
All right. So, Mr. Dodson, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty in the case ending in 06399. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days, balance suspended, and you're not to go back to that incident location as recited by the state's attorney. Also on the case ending in 06420, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days, balance suspended, as long as you do not go back to the location recited in that factual basis by the state's attorney. The case in 06420 will run concurrent with the case ending in 06399. So, Mr. Dodson, do you have a place to go back to, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll go home.
All right.
Okay.
So be careful, Mr. Dodson. All right.
All right.
Thank you. All right. And let's hold on Mr. Jones for a moment. Michael Allen Owens. All right, Mr. Owens, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. You can put your hand down, sir. Mr. Owens, you're before the court on 2022 CR 06584. You're entering a plea of guilty to count 1, loitering or prowling, and count 2, theft by taking. You're represented by Mr. Kamani with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. By entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things? All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On May 6, 2021, police were dispatched to I'm sorry, I thought I had it.
King George Way.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry. The police were dispatched to 6443 King George Way, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, Georgia. At that time, they were advised there was a male and a female in the driveway of that home that did not live there. Mr. Owens and the other female advised that they were there to cut the yard, but did not have gas for the lawnmower. When the police arrived, they made contact with them and they were loading items into a vehicle at that time, and so they were cleaning up the property. The police were able to make contact through an investigation with the actual owner of the property, who advised that they didn't give permission or authorize anyone to be at the property and didn't ask for anyone to clean up or remove anything from the porch. At that time, they were taken into custody, Your Honor. The state is recommending the state is recommending 12 months probation for the theft and taking, 12 months probation, a $300 fine, Your Honor, 40 hours of community service, a theft class, and for the loitering, 12 months probation to run concurrent.
All right, Mr. Kamani.
Your Honor, if the probation can terminate upon completion of the conditions.
Yeah. Is Mr. Owens currently working?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I work with Assurance Wireless.
Okay, so Mr. Owens, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2. I'll sentence you on count 1 to 12 months probation. Count 1 will run concurrent with count 2, 12 months probation to pay a fine in the amount of $300. That's going to be $444 with the surcharges, 40 hours of community service, and a theft prevention class, and you're not to go back to the incident location. The court will allow your probation to suspend upon completion of the conditions. So, Mr. Owens, am I detecting maybe a substance abuse or an alcohol issue? All right, so Mr. Owens, what I would advise, I'm not going to order it right now, but what I would advise is that, have you been to an AA or NA 12-step program before?
As I was going to say that I am currently on parole and they have met with me and everything, and about to let me go, and I'm having to do evaluation and substance abuse through parole.
All right, so this is it's an ongoing thing, Mr. Owens. It's not something that you get over. I was just telling somebody else, this is just like any other medical condition. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but you got to treat it. And so If you are offered the opportunity for therapy, take it, but you can go to NA or AA meetings on your own. All you have to do is walk through those doors, and there will be people who understand where you're coming from because they're coming from the same place. So seek out that help, Mr. Owens, because you're too young to let this take over your life, okay? All right. So I'm going to accept your pleas, and your count two will run concurrent with, or count one will run concurrent with count two. And I'm going to put you in a breakout room right now so Ms. Menard can talk to you about probation. Once he's finished speaking to you about probation and getting you set, just make sure if you have any questions about what will happen with your parole and your probation, let her know that's a concern. So when you get your, when you start talking to your probation officer, they can address those things, okay? I'm gonna put you in breakout room number 6, the jail, and Ms. Menard will be in breakout room number 6. And once they're back, we'll complete with Mr. Wheeler, I believe it is. Yes, and then we'll do the motion, all right? Take care, Mr. Owens.
I gotta stand over here. Yes, you do. So they go. You talking about on the good side of it? So I get from that though. You stand right there in front of me.
All right, Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, hello.
Mr. Wheeler, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down. Mr. Wheeler, you're before the court on 2022 CR 06406. Provoke battery by provocation, count 1, simple battery, count 2, disorderly conduct, count 3, and obstruction of a law officer, count 4. You're represented by Mr. Kamani and the law firm of Lister and Dennis. You're entering a plea of guilty to counts 1, 3, and 4. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On September 27th, 2002, an officer was dispatched to 705 Chateau Lane, Legacy Apartments in Riverdale. The incident did occur in Clayton County. At that time, the officer came into contact with the victim, Mr. Diop, where he advised that a Black male had attacked him, and he fought the Black male off. So the victim sustained abrasions to the left side of his face, both knees, the right shoulder, and right hand. At that time, the officer determined that a person matching the description was on another MARTA bus. Once the unit made contact with that individual, they determined that that he was identified as Mr. Wheeler. At that time, they observed Mr. Wheeler had minor cuts on his forehead that were believed to be consistently involved in the physical altercation. They asked Mr. Wheeler to exit the bus. He, wanted to know why. And then when he came towards the officer, he bumped the officer in the chest. The state is recommending, Your Honor, 12 months to serve 20 days. The balance would be suspended for count 1. Count 2 would merge, Your Honor. Count 3 be a $200 fine, suspended, Your Honor. And for the obstruction, 12 months to serve 10 days, Your Honor, in light of in consideration of Mr. Diop being in custody since October the 8th.
Okay, a $300 fine is mandatory with the obstruction.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And is that suspended also?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Kamani.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Wheeler, what's going on that we can't ride the bus in peace?
Been trying to obtain being able to keep bus fare on it.
You what?
Been trying to obtain to keep bus fare in my cars in my pocket without losing them.
Okay, well, if you can't ride the bus in peace, you need to walk. That'll help get some of that aggression out of you. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1, 3, and 4. Count 2 will merge with count 1. I'll sentence you on count 1 to 12 months to serve 20 days. Balance suspended. Count 2 merged. Count 3, a $200 suspended fine. Count 4, 12 months to serve 10 days concurrent with count 1. Balance will be suspended and $300 fine suspended for credit for time served. All right, Mr. Wheeler, you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Your Honor, just wanted to clarify, he'll receive credit for time served.
I did.
Okay.
Credit for time served. All right, so Mr. Jones.
The CS1. Your Honor, he's not, he left this morning, so he's gonna be totally different.
Okay, Mr. Kamani, do you wish to go forward with a motion to set bond on the person who appears to be altered at this time? Or do you wish to continue?
Your Honor, I'll ask for a continuance for a week.
All right, continuance will be granted for health reasons. This case will be continued for 2 weeks. Deputy, you can take him back.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the court's calendar. Let's take announcements. If you all have any announcements for the trial court at this trial calendar at this time, you may make them. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few minutes at 1 p.m.
Your Honor,
Your Honor. Just have one.
Yes, sir.
May 3rd.
The jail is free to go at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I didn't say anything, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
All right, somebody had an announcement.
Your Honor, I do. I actually have a few. So for first on the calendar is Mr. Adu. If we could have a continuance for that one. My client at the last calendar call, he hired a immigration attorney, was able to apply for a passport on the 18th. So he should have be able to resolve his case soon. So we just ask that we can have a continuance to be put on a plea calendar.
Okay, Ms. Val, do we have a plea calendar, let's say 1 month out?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and put him on either an arraignment or a Tuesday calendar.
How many, she said when?
I said 1 month because he's hired an immigration attorney and something about a passport. So I want to at least give him some time to be able to get some of that done.
How about January 17th?
I'm sorry, Ms. Val?
January 17th.
January 17th is good. Thank you.
That's the jail calendar, but we'll put him on as a arraignment walk-in.
Okay, so that'll be on the arraignment. It'll be on a Tuesday date, but it'll be on the separate arraignment calendar. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next, Ms. Hahn.
So for Mr. We can go ahead and move to Mr. Daniels. He's going to enter a guilty plea.
Okay, he'll be in this afternoon to enter that plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else?
Actually, the same for Ms. Beasley. She's going to be entering a plea of guilty. Sorry, I went out of order.
That's okay. Will she be in this afternoon to enter that plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
And then lastly, for McCullough, the state is going to no pros that one.
All right, Ms. John VA confirmation?
Yes, Your Honor, we did, and you actually signed that on the 1st.
Okay, cool, thank you. All right, and all right, so that's 4 of the, I guess we called them 5 cases, 4 of the 5. The remaining case, are we prepared to go forward with trial?
Your Honor, for Morgan Alexis,
Yes.
that's going to be resolved, that she's going to enter into a plea of guilty.
All right,
Yes.
will she be in court this afternoon to enter that plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so the 5 cases for Lister Holton Dennis have been resolved, and I'll talk to Ms. Val about whether we're going to call in the private attorneys. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.